If you have a yard and you spend money at the garden center in the spring, you might want to hear this before your next shopping trip. There's a pretty solid chance you've been spending money on something your own property makes for free every single year. Most homeowners spend somewhere between $60 and $100 a season on bagged soil amendments, mulch, and compost, and a lot of you are making this mistake every fall without ever connecting the dots. Most people pay to have this hauled away in October, then they go buy it back in April, and the version you threw away was actually better than the one you just paid for. Before I tell you what it is, I want to tell you something that I think makes it click a little faster than just explaining it. If you go into any old growth forest and push your hand down into the ground, just underneath the top layer of fresh debris, what you'll find is this dark, crumbly, earthy smelling material that feels alive in a way that bagged soil from a store almost never does. Nobody composted it, nobody ordered it, or had it delivered on a pallet. The forest made it from what fell out of the trees every autumn, and it has been doing that without any outside help for longer than anyone has been keeping records. Scientists have studied this material at length. They keep finding that it holds moisture at levels most commercial products can't match, that it physically restructures both clay-heavy and sandy soils, and that as it breaks down, it releases a compound called humic acid that plant roots depend on in ways most gardeners were probably never told about. That compound, humic acid, is the primary active ingredient listed on most of the premium soil amendment bags at your local garden center, and those are the ones that are typically $18 to $20. The ones with the specific claims on the back. There is already a product built around this and it sells well because it works. Most people just don't know where the compound originates or that their own yard has been producing it every year without costing a single penny. Before I get into the science behind it, let me know in the comments if you can guess what this overlooked material is and where you're watching from. Now, the understanding of what this material does goes back further than most people would probably expect. While researching this, I discovered that ancient Chinese farmers kept dedicated piles of it at the edges of their fields and worked the finished material back into their growing beds every spring. Farmers in medieval Europe never cleared it from beneath their fruit trees. They considered it part of the orchard system rather than something to be cleaned up. Early American farmers even called it black gold, which is not a phrase people use for things they consider disposable. Indigenous farming communities across North America incorporated forest floor material into their growing mounds as a matter of standard practice, not experimentation. None of these groups were in contact with each other. Different climates, different crops, and even different continents. But yet they all kept coming back to the same conclusion independently. Ground that was fed by this material outgrew plants and ground that was not. That pattern across many unrelated cultures over the long period of time is not really a coincidence. It's just the chemistry doing what the chemistry does. So how did something that farming communities across the ancient world treated as a serious resource become something we bag up and leave at the curb? It all started when suburbs spread quickly after World War II and brought with them a pretty specific image of what a well-maintained yard was supposed to look like: clean, bare, and managed. Having this material on the ground stopped reading as stewardship and started reading as neglect. Once municipal debris collection made removal easy and frictionless, most people stopped thinking about it. The truck came, it disappeared, and the debris was gone. And right alongside that shift, a whole product category built itself around selling back exactly what people had just stopped valuing: bagged compost, bagged mulch, soil conditioners, humus amendments, and potting soils. Products designed for a homeowner who had, over the course of roughly one generation, stopped turning what their own yard produced into something valuable, begging the question as to why we were told to get rid of it in the first place. Maybe it's just what tends to happen when convenience replaces a habit and nobody notices what got traded away in the process. Now, here's the actual mechanics of what this material does inside the soil, because the mechanism is worth understanding so you can take advantage of it after this video. As it breaks down, the lignin in it converts into humic and fulvic acids. These aren't fertilizers in the traditional sense. They don't feed your plants the way a nitrogen supplement does. They work on the soil structure itself, which is actually a more foundational problem to solve. In clay soil, for example, humic acid molecules bind to the particles and loosen the structure, which improves drainage and lets roots move more freely. In sandy soil, they help particles retain moisture rather than letting water drain straight through. They also increase cation exchange capacity, which is the technical term for something fairly simple: nutrients already present in your soil that were chemically locked and unavailable to plant roots become accessible. Not only are you bringing in more nutrients to the soil, you are also opening up what was already there. This material also creates the conditions that mycorrhizal fungi need to establish and spread. These are the fungal networks that extend a plant's root system well beyond what the roots could reach alone. Some research puts the increase in effective root surface area at up to 700% when those networks are functioning well. For anyone who has planted something and watched it just sort of sit there and sulk for a season, that number is worth thinking about. As a gardener in Ohio, I personally switched over to using my own finished material about 3 years ago after a long run of buying bagged products every spring. In the first season, my raised beds actually held moisture through a dry stretch in July without extra watering, which had always been a problem for them before. Although the hugelkultur method may have helped retain water, and don't worry, I'll cover this ancient trick in a separate video. My transplant survival rate improved the following year, and I haven't bought a bag of soil conditioner since. My compost pile costs nothing and makes more material per year than I can actually use on my own property. So by now, you've probably figured out what this material is. It's fallen leaves, the ones you raked last November and stacked in bags at the end of the driveway. That's part of what early American farmers called black gold. That is the forest floor material medieval farmers refused to clear away. That's what the $18 bags at the garden center are fundamentally built around. Your yard has been producing it every fall for as long as you have lived there. Most of us have been scheduling its removal without a second thought. Starting this October, instead of bagging them, try piling your leaves somewhere out of the way in your yard. Wet them down if conditions have been dry, and you can even use a chicken wire cylinder that's about 4 feet across and maybe 3 feet tall, which will keep it contained if that matters to you. A loose pile does almost the same job as the chicken wire, but the chicken wire looks a little better. So leave it alone for about 12 months. By the following fall, the bottom third will have converted into dark, crumbly finished material you can use exactly the way you would use anything out of a bag at the store. You can work it into beds before spring planting, use it around trees and shrubs, and mix it into containers. Here's a bonus tip for you. Run your mower over the leaves before you put them into a pile, and you'll cut that timeline down to about 6 months. The shredded material has more surface area and the biology moves faster. Add grass clippings as you build the pile and it accelerates further. The nitrogen in the clippings balances the high carbon content of the leaves, and the whole process takes care of itself. The best part is that you put it together once in the fall. After that, it just runs for free. Simply add leaves and other discarded contents from your garden or even from your kitchen, and now you have your own source of nutrient-rich forest floor compost without a single trip to the garden center. As always, thanks for watching, and subscribe to my channel for more forgotten wisdom, nature adventures, and gardening videos.